Hello and welcome to the Coronavirus Lockdown Livestream, the show that brings welcome levity to the end of the world, lifting the spirits of many of you currently in self-isolation by infecting as many as possible with comfort and distraction as the apocalypse unfolds. Now, we have quite a show for you lined up this morning. I say this morning, it's this morning where I am. It's evening time in New Zealand where Chloe is, and I'm delighted to see Chloe in the green room along with Arthur. So New Zealand will be represented, Romania will be represented, maybe we'll get Australia represented too, because I could certainly use some poetry of the Sasha variety. But to just warm us all up, if you don't mind, I'm going to reach for my trusty book and do a bit more reading because, again, this is a fantastic book by Bill Bryson, The Body. It has some very insightful things to say about how the body works and particularly about disease and viruses. It's not necessarily going to cheer you up, but my attitude is know thine enemy. Let's learn more about what viruses are and what they do. So picking up on page 324 from yesterday. Whether or not a virus becomes epidemic is dependent on 4 factors: how lethal it is, how good it is at finding new victims, how easy or difficult it is to contain, and how susceptible it is to vaccines. Most really scary diseases are not actually very good at all 4. In fact, the qualities that make them scary often render them ineffective at spreading. Ebola, for instance, is so terrifying that people in the area of infection flee before it, doing everything in their powers to escape exposure. In addition, it incapacitates its victims swiftly, so most are removed from circulation before they can spread the disease widely anyway. Ebola is almost ludicrously infectious. A single droplet of blood, no bigger than this O, the O obviously in the sentence, may contain 100 million Ebola particles, every one of them as lethal as a hand grenade. But it is held back by its clumsiness at spreading. A successful virus is one that doesn't kill too well and can circulate widely. That's what makes flu such a perennial threat. A typical flu renders its victims infectious for about a day before they get symptoms and for about a week after they recover, which turns every victim into a vector. We've been hearing that word a lot, haven't we? Vector. The Great Spanish Flu of 1918 racked up a global death toll of tens of millions. Some estimates put it as high as 100 million, not by being especially lethal, but by being persistent and highly transmissible. It killed only about 2.5% of victims, it is thought. Ebola would be more effective and in the long run more dangerous if it mutated a milder version that didn't strike such panic into communities and made it easier for victims to mingle with unsuspecting others. That is, of course, no grounds for complacency. Ebola was only formally identified in the 1970s, and until recently, all its outbreaks were isolated and short-lived. But in 2013, it spread to 3 countries, Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, where it infected 28,000 people and killed 11,000. That's a big outbreak. On several occasions, thanks to air travel, it escaped to other countries, though fortunately in each instance it was contained. We may not always be so lucky. Hypervirulence makes it less likely diseases will spread, but it's no guarantee that they won't. And there's a footnote: when talking of diseases, people often use contagious and infectious interchangeably, but there is a difference. An infectious disease is one caused by a microbe. A contagious disease is one transmitted by contact. Little known fact for you there. It's remarkable that bad things don't happen more often. According to one estimate reported by Ed Young in The Atlantic, the number of viruses in birds and mammals that have the potential to leap the species barrier and infect us may be as high as 800,000. That is a lot of potential danger. Remember, this was written before the coronavirus outbreak. It is sometimes said, only partly in jest, that the worst health initiative in history was the invention of agriculture. Jared Diamond has called it a catastrophe from which we have never recovered. Perversely, farming didn't bring improved diets, but almost everywhere poorer ones. Focusing on a narrower range of staple foods meant most people suffered at least some dietary deficiencies without necessarily being aware of it. Moreover, living in proximity with domesticated animals meant that their diseases became our diseases. Leprosy, plague, tuberculosis, typhus, diphtheria, measles, influenzas, all vaulted from goats and pigs and cows and the like straight into us. By one estimate, about 60% of all infectious diseases are zoonotic, that is, from animals. Farming led to the rise of commerce and literacy and the fruits of civilization, but also gave us millennia of rotten teeth, stunted growth, and diminished health. I'm going to leave it there, actually, folks. Some interesting thoughts, aren't there? And I'm going to bring in my panel, waiting patiently in the green room. So we have there Arthur from Romania, we have Chloe from New Zealand, and we have Sherry and Sasha from Australia. Welcome all.
Hello, Lloyd. Thanks for having us.
Hey.
Were you following along there, or any observations from what I was reading?
It's a very interesting book and very interesting facts as well there.
Yeah, I guess it's interesting as well from the perspective of he didn't know the coronavirus was coming, but as we're going to find out, it was not a case of if but when, and the logic he's putting forward is the fact that we don't have we haven't had a massive disaster yet, as of the time of writing, is more down to luck rather than human ingenuity. You know, we've been lucky, and to a degree, I suppose you could say the same thing with, I don't know, like a massive earthquake in California. You know, that's a ticking time bomb as well, isn't it? And yet, if California were to have a massive earthquake, of course, again, Jehovah's Witnesses would be saying it's Armageddon, it's the end of the world, blah blah blah. So,
aren't a lot of epidemiologists? They were all predicting that something was going to happen for a long time anyway, right? There's plenty of Netflix shows talking about it, and the likes, and yeah, Bill Gates, and yeah.
Chloe, we have not had you on the channel for a long time, so let's take a good look at you and let's hear all about what's been happening in your neck of the woods.
So up until all of this kind of was happening, I was just pretty much working a lot and traveling and seeing friends and just like settling into my life here in New Zealand. So I apologized for not being out very much. This kind of has given me an opportunity to kind of slow down and have a bit of rest, to be honest. But otherwise, it was quite interesting seeing this happen coming from New Zealand, because we are obviously out of the way from a lot of countries. Our closest country is Australia. So we've been able to get ahead of this, I hope. We're in day 3 of lockdown, meaning we are not to leave our houses. unless we need to go and get essential goods. Everyone's working from home who can work from home. So, and we're just around, I think, as of today, just under 500 cases. So this decision was made when we were about 100 cases. So hopefully we're hoping to get ahead of the curve. And we've got a great Prime Minister here, Jacinda Ardern. She's pretty amazing. So yeah, everyone seems to be behind her, and all the Kiwis are too. And I think everyone's trying to do their part to try and keep everybody as healthy as possible. Yeah.
Well, if you can at least keep your Prime Minister from catching the thing, that would be a start. Over the UK, as things stand, Boris Johnson's been tested positive,
Wow.
which just again shows how widespread this thing is. But so lovely to see you, and I think I speak for the rest of the JW survey team in saying that there's no apologies that need to be made for just disappearing off the radar and living your life and enjoying it for a while, you know.
Thank you.
So we're so happy for you.
Yeah, so happy to see everybody as well. Yeah.
And someone else who we've missed on the show, at least for the last few lockdown live streams, has been Sherry. So what's new, Sherry?
Hello, everybody. What's new for me? It was a huge week, absolutely massive week, and I'm still getting my head around all of these changes that are happening. So, as Chloe was mentioning, New Zealand's in lockdown. In Australia this week, we saw all of the states and territories shut down their borders. So that has had an interesting effect. And I've just actually got the health.gov.au site on, and the last I checked these figures, it was 3,300 that we had confirmed cases. That was this morning at 11 a.m. and now I see there's 3,635. So it's continuing to jump fairly quickly. I was at one of the major hospitals in Sydney throughout the week, and it was surreal to see the preparations that they've been making there. So they've got, they're converting as many as they can of their wards into ICU beds. They're probably, I think, a bit ahead of the curve, because you get the vibe when you're there. You can see where the coronavirus clinic is. It's just actually in the building diagonally opposite from where I am. It looks like a scene out of Contagion, because you can see these made up marquees, and there are seats that are 1.5 meters apart from each other, and there's little packs on every one of the chairs with a mask, and it looks like some kind of instruction. And you see all the doctors and nurses around that are gowned, gloved, masked, ice cream, and they are just waiting for it to hit. So it's been an anxious week, and for the work I do in particular, we were scrambling because a lot of our public patients now can't have their surgery through the public health system. So we've seen extraordinary cooperation between public hospitals, the health departments, the state health departments, and private hospitals, where they're brokering deals one between the other, so that all of the public patients who need surgery for cancer or for many other things can have their surgery done via a private hospital, while the public hospital, aka the state government, picks up the bill. So it's been an extraordinary week, and I have to say I'm a little afraid around the edges today, but it's good to be here anyhow. Hello, everybody.
Well, I suppose it's best to be busy, but obviously you are, uniquely positioned as someone who works sort of in the healthcare sector. So it's nice to hear your reports on the ground, and it's also nice to hear that there's cooperation at these times. I think if you want people, if there's going to be a time when people need to step up and kind of put their differences to one side, even in cases where, for example, you have public health versus private health, it surely has to be, a disaster where thousands of people are dying. So it's nice to see that people are putting their differences to one side.
Yeah, that's what's kind of been so extraordinary about it, is because you dealing with the bureaucracy of the public health system, nothing happens quickly. Like it takes forever for things to happen. Trying to employ staff is a good 9 to 12 month process, and I'm not joking when I say that. So to see them within a matter of weeks draw up contracts and enter into agreements, and it's all happening, and there's this cooperation. I'll share with you this one story that just happened yesterday. There was an agreement with public hospital to the private hospital. We'd moved about 12 patients over onto the private list, a whole lot of negotiating and jumping through hoops, but we'd all got it managed. And then 5:30 on Friday night, we get a phone call from the private hospital saying everything's been closed, everything's been shut down. We have a cardiac arrest over this, worried about how we're going to look after our patients. Finally, cut a long story short, we get to the bottom of it. What was the problem? The private hospital was closing everything down because they had run out of masks. They didn't have any masks to protect their staff with. So therefore, the solution to them is easy. We just shut everything down. So once we'd found that out, we went back to the public hospital, and public hospital went, that's fine. We've got plenty of masks. We'll just give them to them, and then everything can go on. So within 30 minutes, we ended up finding what the problem was, getting it solved, and there was no question of cost or invoicing or anything. It was just, you need this, we give it to you, it's done.
That's the sort of story that you would expect to hear on JW Broadcasting, prefaced with an example of Jehovah's hand can be seen in this example. It's astonishing how these examples of altruism and things falling into place are commonplace outside of the organization, but amazing. Right.
I mean, kind of going off of that, you can see that the NHS in the UK are doing everything they can to help people. And they asked for, I think I read something today that they asked for 250,000 volunteers to help out. And within 24 hours or something like that, there was like 500,000 people who'd offered up to help out. So, and then I think I saw as well across the UK, people like applauding all the healthcare staff and everything like that. And it just shows you that you don't need to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses to be able to cooperate with people. You just need to be human and care about the community and the greater good of coming together, which is it's really good to see when you're outside as well, because you know that it wasn't something special there. You know, it wasn't conditional. It's you're a human and you need help, so I'm going to help you. Yeah.
Indeed. Well said. Yeah, we had quite a bit of reaction on the show yesterday, and Deanna wished it to be made clear that it wasn't just in the UK that they were clapping for doctors and nurses. That's apparently been happening in all sorts of countries. Wow, so nice to see that human solidarity again shining through.
And I definitely think that at the end of this, we're going to come out of this with a society that understands that we need to work together as humans. It really doesn't matter what the borders are. It doesn't matter what our flags are and what the color of our skin is. We are going to work together as a united human family. I can definitely see that coming out of this.
Mm.
You know, as well, when you walk around the streets, because we're on lockdown, we're allowed to go for a daily walk or a daily jog or exercise, and you see people walking by, and we have to keep a 2-meter distance or 6 feet distance, and you see people smiling at each other and saying, "Hi, how are you?" as you're walking past, which is kind of unusual for like some more of the bigger cities in the world, right? But everybody now is like craving that human kind of solidarity, and it's pretty interesting to see. It's like they're all down in Florida who've got all the time in the world. It's it's different.
That's a good point you make too, Chloe. And I've often thought I will never take for granted again the gift of being able to hug a friend or talk to people over a coffee at close proximity or be able to spend time together. And I think most of us as humans have realized that maybe we took all that sort of stuff for granted. The privilege of walking in the park together is exactly that, a privilege. And now that it's deprived of us, we really feel the absence of it. So who knows what's going to come out of this?
Let's just take a few messages and then we will run to the first of today's features. I have to decide which feature it will be, the one involving Sasha or the new one that I have planned involving Arthur. So a little bit of a teaser there for you. Jane Addams says, I just purchased Bill's book on Play Store. Can't wait to read it. You will not be disappointed, Jane. Sarah Lindsay saying, hello, Chloe. I'm a Kiwi living in the USA. Kia ora. Is that how you pronounce it?
Kia ora.
Kia ora.
Kia ora. Yeah, it doesn't take long to start understanding that. Yeah. I love Kiwis.
Jonathan Billington says, I made coffee thinking it was decaf. Now I can't sleep. Ooh, Armageddon party. We're trying to certainly keep the levity going here to help everyone through the apocalypse. Rianne saying approximately every 10 years there's a new quote-unquote virus since 1620 that's been recorded in developed countries. Yes, these things pop up all the time, though. Even though it feels unprecedented in many ways it is, pandemics and diseases, I'm afraid, are a feature of human history, and it's just we've never before been in a situation where the Earth has been so populated and so interconnected, you could say, so that not only can hysteria spread like wildfire, but also a disease can very, very quickly and easily leap from one continent to another. That sort of is new, you could say. But as far as diseases cropping up and, mutating from animal diseases, that's been around forever. Let's just see here. Oh, I hate it when the comments just flip as I'm selecting them. Matthew Tino saying, Lloyd, have you noticed an uptick in subscribers since the outbreak? It's interesting you should mention that. Yes. So obviously I get my analytics information, and even though the lockdown live streams don't tend to get as many views as ordinary uploads, nevertheless, the subscribers have gone crazy in terms of more people joining the channel. So I'm hoping that, one way or the other, and every show that we've done so far and that I've uploaded subsequently to YouTube has always had at least thousands of views. So,
and if you notice too, Lloyd, that a lot of people who have dropped us comments and been part of our daily chat have not even come from an ex-Jehovah's Witness or a Jehovah's Witness background. There's been some from different religious faiths. So we welcome everybody. This is just a bunch of friends hanging out talking regardless of your religious background.
Indeed.
Lloyd, do you reckon that there are more people watching who possibly are current Jehovah's Witnesses because they are at home more as well, and maybe looking on the internet to find something and not being daily indoctrinated maybe as much?
I mean, I hope so. I'm certainly no stranger to Jehovah's Witnesses on my channel. I was actually answering one before, because every now and then someone will just say literally, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, kind of full stop. That's all they wanted to say. And I try and reply by saying, thank you for visiting this channel. It's always very encouraging for me to see believing Jehovah's Witnesses visiting. Thank you for motivating me to make more videos.
It is interesting because I had some current Jehovah's Witnesses message me and tell me, oh yeah, how are you doing? There's no meetings or conventions or no ministry. Yay. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, our content is uplifting for everybody, regardless of religious faith or regardless of...
So far, Arthur, we haven't come to your segment yet. Joelle Brown...
Chloe, you make a good point, though. Chloe, your point that you make, all Jehovah's Witnesses would have to freely acknowledge and admit nobody was upset when a meeting was cancelled. Let's say a public speaker didn't arrive on Sunday for the meeting and they had to go straight to the Watchtower. Every witness was happy about that. And I am sure, or the week of the Circuit Assembly where there was no midweek meeting, every Jehovah's Witness was happy about that. And I am sure all of them, although they might outwardly say they miss the meetings, they're loving sitting around in their pajamas at night instead of getting ready going out to the meeting. I'm sure of it.
But probably now that the meetings have moved online and maybe one public talk speaker doesn't arrive to the meeting, they just play a pre-recorded public talk from JW Stream or something.
Well, no one's watching you, so you could just have it on, but do something else.
Joelle Brown there saying, I think we didn't realize how free we were until our freedom is taken away. I think that's definitely, we're getting to that point now, aren't we? Probably with our lockdowns, our respective lockdown situations, where we're thinking, things really are different now. Normally by this point, I would have been out multiple times, gone into town to do this or that. And we're now realizing what it's like to have to literally stay in one place. So it is.
You know what, though? It's interesting to view it that way, because I've seen a lot of stuff online, you can get the kind of two views on it, right? Like, so our freedom's not necessarily taken away. The respective governments that are encouraging and enforcing rules around lockdown are really ensuring our future freedom, is how I view it. That if we do this sooner, we actually make our economies, our personal lives, everything a lot freer in the future. Because if this makes a significant impact on people's lives as far as jobs and other stuff, the longer we're in these kinds of situations and people getting sick, the longer we can't go back to normal. So just a little spin on that kind of
That's
view.
definitely the way to view it. So I'm sure everyone watching would agree with you there. And there are currently 84 watching, which is an uptick, you might say, from yesterday, although I did try a little bit harder with distributing links today. So that might have.
I would like to add something.
Sure.
So here in Romania, whenever you want to go out for a certain emergency, go shopping, go to work, take your dog for a walk, you have to sign some declaration like this.
Wow.
Right.
And tick the whatever reason of emergency. And well, law enforcement is out there and checking you sometimes. Hey, do you have your declaration with you?
Can we see that again,
the purpose
Arthur?
Yep.
Okay,
Wow.
Interesting. You've got yours all filled out?
Yeah. This was yesterday. I had to go buy something, and I had to fill this out.
Wow.
Okay. And if you go out and about and you haven't officially received permission,
you may receive a fine.
Wow, that's good. I wish they would bring that in here in Australia, because we still haven't got the point here as a society. We really haven't got a point.
For example, while I was taking Ding for a walk to the park here in our neighborhood, there was a policeman asking a couple who were sitting in the playground together, and the girl said, "Yeah, well, I live here nearby, because you aren't allowed to get very much far away from where you live." And yeah, they are taking it very seriously.
Talitha Wilson says, hello, you lovely ones. Hello, Talitha.
Hey, Talitha.
Hey, Talitha.
Friend of JW Survey, and I have fond memories of meeting Talitha on the trip to Australia back in June. So lovely to see you with us on the live chat there.
Talitha, can you give us more of an understanding of how things are going up in Darwin or Northern Territory, the far north of Australia? It'd be interesting if you can let us know how things are going up there, because that's a fairly remote and isolated area. But I watched that the Chief Minister, or the equivalent of the Premier, had a really heartfelt speech that he gave to the media. Be interested to see how the local residents are responding to that.
Nesbo9, I think Nesbo9 is Laura, who sent in the voicemail yesterday, says, Lloyd, you are spot on. I told my mum about the NHS volunteers and speed of the Excel Centre being converted into wards. So basically the large convention centre that witnesses normally meet in is being converted into a hospital in London, plus the nationwide clapping. She ignored it and sent me a meme of a cat. Interesting means of arguing there. Right, so we're having a question here. Hey, Lloyd, that's Arthur's part. Do you mean what's Arthur's part? I'm wondering whether we should go to it now, because I'm sensing that what we really need, apart from poetry, which we'll come to later, it would be helpful if we could just have some song and some music. And
over to you, Arthur.
And to that end, it's my absolute pleasure to introduce a new segment to the show, sing along with Arthur. So, yes.
Wow, that was amazing. I really love that intro, Lloyd.
Thank you very much. Spent quite a bit of time working on that last night. And so how we're going to do this is, because listen, I figure nearly all of these lockdown live streams are having reduced monetization anyway. So I figure, what the heck? Let's flout copyright law. And let's just have a karaoke. And then I was thinking, what karaoke song can I have Arthur sing? And then I remembered that on my personal Facebook profile, I recently shared this thing about Now Greatest Hits Coronavirus Edition, where they'd selected certain songs that could be construed now as referring to the coronavirus. So just give me a moment, and I'll try and get up on screen the karaoke. And Arthur, if you can sing along at the earliest opportunity, and hopefully everyone will sing along with you.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So let's see whether this works.
We can't hear you, Sherry.
Ooh. Watching every motion in my foolish lover's game. On the 7 oceans, finally lovers know no shame. Turning and returning to some secret place inside. Watching in slow motion as you turn around and say,
Chloe's gone.
take my cold away. Take my cult away. Watching, I keep waiting, still anticipating tight pants. Never hesitating to become the anointed ones. Turning and returning to some secret battle inside. Watching in slow motion as you turn to me and preach. My love, take my cult away. True JW Broadcasting, I saw you.
Amazingly, we've managed to hold on. Congratulations, Arthur. That was fantastic. Amazingly, we've managed to hold on to 85 viewers. Despite all of that, which I think means that we must have the best viewers in the world. Because, wow.
Absolutely.
Although that's not to detract from your performance, Arthur, which was quite impressive, it must be said.
Lovely work, Arthur.
You've certainly thrown down the gauntlet, it might be said, for Sasha's piece. Should we take a few more comments before doing that, just to break things up a little bit? We don't want to, at the risk of saying naughty things, we don't want to blow our load too quickly. Let's save Sasha for later on. Quite a few. Okay, so quite a lot of reaction to Arthur's part. Jess Adams saying this song creeped me out as a kid. No joke. JW Contrafet over on Twitch. Go on, don't stop. Jess Adams, haha. Lottie is connecting with Chloe's lighter. That has to become a regular thing, I think. I would have joined in, but was there a timing issue? Was the timing working out for everybody?
It was all right.
It was
good.
okay. It wasn't too bad. Okay.
It was like regular karaoke.
It was like regular karaoke. That's not saying much, though, is it?
I mean, maybe I should have wine too. Then I would have a go.
What's the deal? Lloyd won't sing, but puts Arthur on the spot because it's my show, Jay, and also because I want to save as many viewers as possible. I don't want to lose viewers. That's the point.
So have all of us heard of the different song variations that are doing the round? One of the best ones is what is it?
Well, don't ruin the future playlist. I want it to be a surprise, but
sorry,
I was originally thinking, since you mention it, of starting with the first song on that Facebook post, which was "Don't Stand So Close to Me" by The Police.
Oh, I haven't heard that one.
But I was watching the lyrics, and it had hashtag Me Too all over it. You know, it's like
it's completely inappropriate.
The chorus is entirely appropriate to coronavirus, but everything else just does not sit well.
No.
Oh,
it's dated badly.
Very badly. Very badly.
For anyone who's out there who's like around my age who listened to JoJo back in high school, she put out one on Facebook which was pretty good about telling her boyfriend to stay away from her.
I
like it. Brilliant.
Matthew Tino saying, if Arthur is single, I'm sure that's about to change when all these women hear his voice. Thoughts, Arthur?
No comment.
No comment.
I mean, I'm not discussing my personal life.
No, we wouldn't ask you to, Arthur. We wouldn't ask you to. But you know, we're just seeing how you react. There's no harm in seeing how you react to that sort of comment. Pat Tenson saying this quarantine is really getting to us. Well, hopefully a little bit of levity might just improve your situation. But we do definitely feel for you there, Pat. Sasha's actually capitulated, it seems, in some way to technical or biological threats. Rianne says, that's fantastic. Just give them the biggest high five from the Netherlands. I don't know whether Rianne might be speaking to someone else on the live chat, which is always an issue when I'm reading comments. Eric Larson, look, Sasha, I haven't planted these comments. This is literally what the viewers are demanding. The viewers are in a place in their lives
Eric.
Where there is this
Eric.
void, and it's a void that can either be filled by cowbell or by beautiful poetry. And with that in mind, it's time to jump to our next segment, Sasha's Poetry Corner.
Okay, all right. So I got criticized yesterday for having one that was pre-written. So here we go.
Cheating. For cheating, Sasha.
No cheating. Okay.
Yeah.
So here we all are stuck in our houses while the world goes mad, hoarding stuff like mouses. But spare a thought, maybe some praise and appreciation for the healthcare workers while we stay in isolation. But out of this crisis will come a better day. But for now, let me say, at home, please stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Few
much better than
things-
I could have done.
Few things can move me to tears. And that didn't, but I'm just putting it out there. Few things can move me to tears.
I apologize to everybody.
Lloyd, hang on. Please, can someone have some poor pity on me? Because since this whole thing started this week, you have no idea what has happened. And the
Tell us
beast you
what
have
it's
created.
like to be married to the internet's foremost coronavirus lockdown poet.
You have no comprehension of what that is like. He's just spouting things off the top of his head throughout the whole day. I'm so glad that I'm not yet locked down and that I can escape to Auckland South Hospital.
Yeah, I love you too, babe.
Honestly.
I love you too.
Sasha, can you read us the other poem?
Which one?
I've heard this
The other one.
I've heard it.
Yeah, that one.
You know.
Hang on. I need to do this all over again.
No. What? Which
So
one?
we're going to have two.
No, we're not.
Oh, really?
Yes.
There's a second poem.
There is.
My signal cutting out.
Sasha's being naughty there, isn't he? There's a second poem. Good grief! I can't stand this tension, this intrigue. I wasn't expecting this. It all happens when Chloe comes on. There's some kind of tension in the air, you know.
Chaos. How about a painting corner like Bob Ross as well?
That's actually not a bad idea. And Chloe, I know just the person to host that segment.
I've been trying to teach myself to paint. It looks terrible.
Chloe's painting corner could be a thing. You never know. Let us know, viewers, whether you would like to see Chloe's painting corner. Then we can have poetry, singing, and painting. Although I think for it to be truly authentic, I think you'd have to be doing it live. So,
oh my god,
you'd have some kind of. Oh right, so you're ready, are you, Sasha?
Yeah. This,
all right,
this
just
was
bear with me. Hang on.
All right.
Okay, all right. This was
Why
sent in
are
by
you in the darkness?
I don't know. Okay, can you hear me?
There's too much suspense in this particular lockdown live stream for my liking. Go on.
This will give you a clue as to who penned this poem. Undoubtedly, it might seem, warm welcome to our live stream. It's sad to see people cough and sneeze, but we lift them up with a new release. You viewers become joyful and merry listening to a poem by Sasha and Sherry. From down under, we go to Baltimore, to the Redwoods at the JW Survey Corps. Two great members of our band giving support from Maryland. Another gem, like Crystal or Jade, is our newsreader, Covert Fade. He's been missing for some time, but adds up great here to my rhyme. Spiro joins our fierce armada, linking Greece and Canada. With Arthur, laughter comes at ease. When he speaks, watchtoweries. Lloyd conducts us to heighten the vibe. If you like it, please subscribe.
That was actually quite impressive. I like that. I like the dubious use of rhyming, certainly. And Sasha's gone again, capitulating it once more to technical issues. But I'm assuming that
technical issues.
Oh right,
Not
he's
technical
being
issues.
coy, is he? Okay.
He hadn't pre-printed that poem, so he had to switch the phone to another media, which meant cutting the camera.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. So can we now have revealed the author of that poem? Sasha, your mic's not on.
Put your mic in.
Sorry about this. I'm working with amateurs here, viewers. It really is appalling. I must apologise.
Still not hearing you, Sasha.
Can you tell us, Sherry, who wrote it?
Yeah, he's in this live stream with us.
Oh, I
Arthur.
know who it is. Yeah, there he is.
Guilty.
Good poem there, Arthur. Good poem.
Thanks.
Like it very much. So, honestly, we've gone from struggling to find things to entertain people with in yesterday's show to having a preponderance of entertaining things. Really, viewers, you're being spoilt at this point. And Matthew Tino saying, Sherry, go get him. Rescue your husband, Sherry.
Clearly. Okay, all right, I'll sort it out.
Oh, let me see. This is harsh, Arlene. This is harsh. This is gonna. I'm glad Sasha isn't around to see this comment. I'm reminded why poetry was my least favorite subject in English class. Well, you know, you're being honest and probably speaking for a good number of people.
Me included.
And you're the one that wrote the poem.
Well, yeah, paradoxically.
Pat Henson saying, I can do a paint with numbers segment for you. No numbers involved. I want freestyle painting, Pat. I want Chloe to do freestyle painting.
Freestyle.
And what we can do is we can ask viewers what Chloe should paint.
Oh no! I am like a total novice. You'll see. Maybe you should get Evie on instead.
But that's going to make it more entertaining, Chloe. If you were a perfect painter,
okay.
If you were like, well, I'm not gonna. I was gonna say Rolf Harris
yeah,
for a moment, but don't be like Rolf Harris. Don't be like Rolf Harris.
Oh no.
I'm putting through Bob Ross all the way. He's all like, now we're gonna.
But if you were Van Gogh, it wouldn't be as funny.
You?
Oh no, that one's amazing. I will show you. Can I show one that I did with a teacher with me?
Please.
So this is
wow. Very nice.
I painted. But this was in an art class where they show you like step by step what you should do, and it's like supposed to be Kandinsky inspired.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
Can we see that again, Chloe? Very nice. Yeah.
I love
but then the funny thing is, I tried to do the same at home by myself. It's not turning out as nicely as I'd like to, but maybe I can get some feedback from other people. I'm a perfectionist. I'm going to try and.
Can we see now? Can we critique now?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay. No, that's good. I like it.
I like it. Yeah.
Too much solid lines. I'm going to try and work on it. But
no, impressive.
This one is a colleague's son, so I feel like I have a purpose outside of work.
No, that's fantastic.
Beautiful.
I honestly
Love it.
can't. That.
Hey, while we're talking about art, Sherry, can you show our friends and viewers the beautiful piece that was painted for us by our good friend Greg over in Perth?
Yes.
He painted the most beautiful piece. And Chloe, that work is stunning. I love it. So we have take your camera over there to it. We have the most amazing friend over in Perth who painted this piece. He's put in so much effort into it, and there's a story behind it. Yep. If Sherry can turn it around and show us. Tell us the story behind that. Not everything you lose is a loss.
Yes. So this young artist, I had a wonderful flight with him from Perth to Sydney. And we talked the entire time, which is about a 4.5-hour flight. Anyway, he showed me some of his artwork. And then after following him for a year or two on Instagram, he started to say that he would take commissions. So I went, yes, please. And I gave him the inspiration of, obviously, coming out of a cult, having the support of my husband, and that sense of having lost identity and trying to sort of get that back. And the fact that we love our little cat, Derby, which most people who know us know that. So that's what he came out with. And I gave him the phrase of not everything you lose is a loss. And that's, I was thinking of the cult, obviously. That certainly wasn't a loss. And he put it on top of a book, he said, that was our life. And Sasha's standing behind me. And, yeah, so that has a lot of meaning to us. That it was very nice of him to get that done. Yeah. He's quite the talented young man, I have to say.
If anyone wants his contact details, just drop us a message. We'd love to send some work his way. He's a really nice young guy and just does beautiful work. He gets it. He understands the story behind people. Like you, Chloe. Like, art has got to mean something. It's not just the technicalities. It's got to come from the soul. It's got to come from the heart. It's got to mean something, right? Is that?
Well, yeah, and also during this kind of time, I decided just to go get a bunch of like starter kit of paint and stuff because I figured that I didn't want to get swallowed up in work, being here almost 24 hours a day. And also it's actually really just therapeutic, even if you're bad at it. It's just nice thing to do.
But you're not bad at it. That's the thing. I'm even now thinking it's going to be less funny having a paint along with Chloe segment, but we'll just give it a go.
Yeah, let's give it a go because I might draw some terrible stick figures too. Yeah, no people.
Can you draw Caleb and Sophia maybe just to inspire us?
Would you want to do that?
No. Sorry, I just
can you paint a human carcass? Can you paint a train wreck?
Human hot dog.
Robert DS says, I've always enjoyed watching your channel, Lloyd. I can't believe I have finally been able to catch up your live stream. Lovely to have you here, Robert. I can understand that it's probably required quite some sacrifice depending on where you are on the planet. So thank you so much for joining us. Ashley's 12 Mom on Twitch is definitely down with Chloe doing painting for us. Steve Thu says, hey Lloyd, such culture here. I'm glad you've observed that, Steve. I just try and bring a level of sophistication to a pandemic. And in this show, we've had poetry, we've had art, and we've had lots of culture. So hopefully
as much culture as a tub of yoga.
Maybe we could also do like a kind of like Marie Kondo kind of thing, because everyone's trapped in their house.
Oh, that's a good point. Yes.
Does it bring you joy?
I'm the queen.
We should thank things and
I got peace bubbles. This is what my house called.
Eric is definitely down with Chloe's painting corner, it seems.
By the way, have you noticed that culture has the word cult in it?
Oh, good grief. You see, Arthur, you just cannot help but trigger people, can you? We're allowed to use the word culture without having that drawn to our attention. Shame on you, Arthur. Shame on you.
Yes.
Chloe, you mentioned too about taking the opportunity to clean things up or do a Marie Kondo inspired situation. It's beautiful to see how many people on social media are saying they're loving this forced downturn. People's houses have never been more clean. They've never cleaned their wardrobes, their cupboards, their pantries out as good as they are now. It's almost like the earth was trying to tell us something, that we needed to take a few moments, a few weeks to just get our act together at home.
Stop, Eric! Stop!
2 poems in 1 live stream. What have we done to deserve such greatness? I'm sensing from Sherry's reaction that she's relishing yet more days of Sasha's creative process being vocalized loudly on a frequent basis throughout the day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Eric, I'm afraid it's Saturday and poems come in double size today.
Party at the weekend. Saturday night over here.
That's it.
Yeah. What you're saying though is really important, Sasha, that that's how I'm viewing it, is like a forced recuperation. I mean, I've had a holiday in Bali cancelled, work trips to America cancelled, and kind of forced relaxation. So I'm like, well, you know what? It's fine.
Yeah.
Like this is how it's gonna go. And my OCD might get a little bit mental cleaning, but that's I'm all right with that for 4 weeks. So.
Yeah. And it's a really good point. Like we always think we need to go away to be able to recover and to recuperate. And I honestly think that this is the world's way of saying we just need to get back to basics and look after our home and our little immediate environment around
and
us.
write poetry. Yeah, definitely.
Poetry,
Deborah DeGostin says, "You're all so funny. I might have to watch this live every night. I've been so stressed with this since this morning and the news about a lot more cases in the next week or so. Thanks, everyone." Well, thank you so much for tuning in, Deborah. Lovely to have you with us.
And I also wanted to add that, everybody of our viewers, you know about SNL, Saturday Night Live. But today, SNL stands for Sasha's Nightly Live Stream.
Eric
Arthur.
is presumably not referring to Arthur's humour when he says Arthur is certainly multi-talented. So thank you for that, Eric.
Can I just make a comment too on Deborah's comment earlier? People are under a lot of stress, and as much as we'd like to just lighten things up and have a bit of fun and humour, we mentioned in the last few nights that everyone's going to react to this weird new situation that we find ourselves in worldwide in a different way. And you're going to have your good days, you're going to have your bad days. That's okay. Whatever your reaction is on each day, it's okay to go with it. But most importantly, don't do it alone. There's plenty of us out there that will support one another. And we're going to wake up in a bad mood, or we're going to wake up in a good mood. We're going to wake up with that anxiety in the pit of our stomach, but we're going to get through this. Just picture, the most important thing is to picture ourselves in 1 or 2 years' time, looking back on this situation and say, what did I learn from that? What did it teach me? What did I gain from that whole situation?
Yeah. I think it's important too. I don't know if you guys mentioned this before, that in New Zealand we've adopted physical distancing, not the term social distancing, because actually we're all socializing right now, and this is probably my favorite part of the day today. I got dressed and everything. It was like really fun. And like,
you mean it's an unusual thing for you to get dressed? Is that what you're telling me, Chloe?
Day 3 of the lockdown. I wasn't going to wash this hair for another week. Like, seriously. So it's like, it's really, really important to keep socializing with people and reach out to people that you haven't spoken to for a long time. I know I've been able to have time to speak to more friends because I'm not like getting ready for work and going there and stuff. But physical distancing, not social distancing, guys. Otherwise, we're all social beings. We'll go mad, honestly. And I'm living by myself, so my bubble consists of me. Like that's it. So
that's a good point, Chloe. Excellent. Yeah, social distancing, no. Physical, yes. That's a really good point. Thank you. Yeah.
That sounds like another brainchild of your wonderful PM.
It was indeed.
Gabrielle is interested in knowing what my breakfast is. Today, Gabrielle, it's IKEA ginger snaps. So a little bit of ginger there. I don't like to have a heavy breakfast, to be honest. I like to keep trim, as you all know.
What wine are you drinking?
Ironic laughs all round. Jess Adams says, "You truly are a hero to so many. It takes a brave, strong person to speak out. I know it's hard being born in with most of your family in it. I'm Satan to half of mine, LMAO." So yeah, it's certainly an awkward time for those who are being shunned, especially. Social isolation takes on a whole new meaning when you're already being cut off, arguably, by believing family. So yeah,
I viewed this as nowhere near as bad as being socially cut off from all of my friends at a very young age. I know that this is 4 weeks at a minimum for us, maybe a bit longer. So I know that there's an end to the situation at some point. I know that I'm allowed to talk to whoever I want and see them over video and do whatever I want within my own like bubble here too. So it's nowhere near as bad as that 1 year of Grey's Anatomy by myself.
Yvette Fiquette, friend of the show, says, "With our COVID world, we could use some happy little trees, Chloe. Be our modern day Bob Ross." So already our first requests are coming
You
through.
can send me a link. I'll follow the instructions.
On Twitch, JW Contrafet says Arlene Wordsworth is nothing in comparison to Sasha. Sherry certainly appreciative of that encouragement for her husband
Yeah,
to
he
continue.
really doesn't need it.
And if we're in the middle of the last days towards Armageddon, why not Happy Tree Friends? Because there you see all that gore and blood
Well,
everywhere.
Eric thinks that Chloe should paint Paradise. So, but would this Paradise include like a cross section of what's underneath the ground?
You know what? We could use, we could use freedom is my paradise kind of mantra as an inspiration, and I could try and figure out how to interpret it that way rather than actual paradise or anything negative or gory.
Like That's brilliant.
Good. I like that. That's really good.
Yeah.
Eric
Really
also
good.
saying that you can't make any mistakes, just happy accidents. I think that's the thing with art, isn't it? You can
Beautiful.
you can easily
Like
just
when I
say,
went
well,
outside the line.
it's art, you know, it's not an accident.
Yeah. I'm learning.
Matthew Tino wants a portrait of one of the panelists on the screen. Good grief. That could potentially be quite a traumatizing experience, but we'll
Or a group photo.
have to wait and see.
A group painting.
Or a happifying experience. Yeah.
Guys, I think you need to hire someone else.
Rianne saying Armageddon is really just reds and blacks, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. The occasional white for bone, I suppose.
Oh, yeah.
Let's just
And for
see.
Jesus' hair, rip Kenny Rogers.
Yeah, Kenny Rogers is obviously he's obviously prepped already because he's no longer he's shaken off this mortal coil, hasn't he? It seems Kenny Rogers.
Hey, Arthur, I set you a challenge.
Yes, Sherry.
Can you make Sasha laugh enough? Oh God, laugh loud enough so that he snorts during a live stream.
It ain't
Well,
gonna happen.
I might try
it
that.
Ain't gonna happen. No, it ain't gonna happen.
I really want to see that happen. I want to
Lloyd,
see
are there any
happen.
more comments from any of our wonderful followers and fans there?
I'll just let you guys work through this issue that seems to have arisen while I look for a comment. So, Arthur, take it away. You have to make Sasha laugh so hard that he snorts in an ugly way.
Well, I will have to, rely on some improvisation skills here. For example, let me do some dramatic reading, I suppose.
Oh no, this is going to go badly.
Because yesterday I was reading a very, very interesting material, very uplifting, I guess.
Happifying and encouraging.
Yeah, let me get it here on the screen while
Just while
Lloyd
you're
is
trying
looking
to
for.
find that, does for all of our viewers, do those expressions, those words, the choice of words and sentence structure that the organization always used to use, do we still find that triggering today? Do you ever find yourself dropping those comments or using those in daily life and in sentences when you realize,
yeah.
Impressive
Yeah,
efforts
because-
at changing the subject there, by the way, Sasha.
Yeah.
That's
attempting,
quite impressive.
Yeah.
Try.
I never use any of them anymore, but when I hear something that sounds like it, I'm kind of like, oh, it's
Yeah.
like dirty to me.
Yeah.
No, this is not
Arthur,
English.
please.
Yep.
Okay.
No.
We're losing viewers. Lloyd, anybody else got a comment there?
Well, only that Deanna seems to like Chloe's painting. She says, love that, Chloe.
Beautiful.
I'm sure
That's-
Deanna could do it much better than me.
Deanna, you can come on if you like. Actually, I said that to her yesterday. And she said, you say that, Lloyd. But at that precise moment, I had Julia in one arm and Jessica in the other. So if you have limbs available, Deanna, just jump on.
Or bring the girls with you.
Yeah, or if
We'd
it's
love to see them
possible,
again.
even if it's just for a few seconds.
Yeah, we
And
love
I
to
think-
see all three of you
Yeah,
live.
and we've said many times too. I think most of our viewers would love a panel that is made up predominantly of the ladies of our team, and it would be fantastic just to see Deanna and Kimmy and Kim and Chloe and Sherry and everybody there chatting away. We'd much prefer that than having to put up with me and Arthur. Oh, and Lloyd.
There's such a busy, and it's delightful to see, by the way, how busy the live chat is. It's making it harder for me to select comments because I'm moving so quickly, but I'm not complaining at all. Yvette says, "Oh no, Kenny Rogers has passed, and all pictures in JW materials show him in heaven, bringing God's fury. Should we be worried?" Well, if Jehovah's Witnesses can spin this pandemic as evidence that Armageddon is here, I suppose anything goes. So,
Well,
yes,
it's been well said on social media that Kenny's favourite line about "you've got to know when to fold them." He certainly knew when to do it just before this whole coronavirus thing took off. Maybe he knew
Susan
something.
Wheatley is not mincing her words. That's all I'm going to say there. Okay.
She should get to know. She should get to know Auntie Bev. I think she'd get on.
I think
famously
her
with
and
Auntie
Auntie Bev would get on splendidly. Rianne saying, "Just a few seconds, Deanna. We just love to see you and the girls." So no pressure, Deanna, but you do again have access to the link.
You know, Lloyd, on that note, I think it's got to be said, and just to take things into a serious note for a moment, that everybody appreciates that the work that you do has helped thousands, tens of thousands of people. But Deanna helping you behind the scenes has no doubt been a massive thing that's assisted you too. And we know that she doesn't always like to be on camera, but we're very appreciative of the support that she gives you in the way that you're then able to help other people. So thank you, Deanna, for everything you do.
Although she's now mocking us.
Yeah.
Look at that. She's mocking us.
You know,
Is that like an evil laugh? I think that's an evil laugh. Fools.
Actually, as overseers, we are very thankful for our dear wife.
Unfortunately, Arthur's audio has mysteriously cut out just as he was in the middle of saying something incredibly triggering. So let's hope his audio comes back on at a point where he's no longer triggering people. So
No, I was saying that the ladies of our lives are the greatest support for us
Beetroot.
as men, as overseers, as appointed
good
servants in the congregation.
And there's where you just.
You see, you did such good work, Arthur, earlier in the show, and now it's all just unraveling. Beetroot Soup saying, "Yay for Deanna." Eyes on the prize saying, "Yes, Lloyd, so grateful for you and your family. Your work has saved lives." That's very kind of you to say. Eyes on the prize. Again, impossible really for me to impossible really for me to do what I'm doing without the support network, which includes obviously Deanna predominantly, but also the JW Survey team, and to a degree you could say, well, to no small degree, my patrons who actually make it possible for me to do this full time. So it really is a team effort, really, when you think about it. Just a comment there on physical distancing, but keeping in touch with others via texts, playing charades with granddaughters by doing song and movie titles in emojis. That sounds challenging for each other to guess. Lots of. Although emojis, it must be said, as I've pointed out in one of my videos, frowned upon by the faithful slave.
Evil, worldly.
As a means by which people can flirt with others and lead people on with their emotions. So,
That's right. That's right.
Especially when put in the correct order.
Yeah, indeed.
That's right.
Isn't there like an eggplant that could be particularly
One of the best.
egregious in that direction?
And a peach.
Who knew?
Oh, good grief.
But my favourite is
lowering the tone here. Sorry, go on, Chloe.
the poo emoji. It's the best
poo
emoji.
emoji.
I wonder if they could put that across as being
Surely
terrible.
that's innocent
Surely.
from a romantic point of view.
No.
I like to think it would
But
be.
I'm sure they find another reason. But it's the best emoji. I taught my CEO how to make it like an exploding poo to send to his daughter. You know, on Facebook, you can make an emoji grow. So,
That's awesome.
Chloe
I
has
wonder if
given
we'll
this
see
a
new
great
lot
deal of thought.
yeah, honestly, it's the best emoji.
How many new emojis will we see get born out of this whole COVID-19 situation?
That's a question.
Julia Dasmin with what seems to be a deceased pet in her avatar. I've learned that I don't have to continuously shop for things I don't need. If we can all be less materialistic and more focused on our loved ones, that would be a positive. I think that's one of those things where, you know, like a broken clock is right twice a day. And, you know, that's one area in which I think, you know, our cult background, as it were, did have some value in weakening or undermining this idea of materialism. And I think there's something to be said for not
showy
focusing.
display.
Oh, good grief, Arthur.
But,
You just can't help yourself, can you?
You make a good point, though, Julia. Like, I was only just talking to a friend of mine today. Young family in their early 30s, double-story house, 5-bedroom, 2 cars, 4 TVs. They assumed that was the essentials and the normals. This whole thing has made us all reevaluate what do we need. You know, they've downsized everything. They've moved internationally and they're living in a small little flat, and they're more than happy. And he said he doesn't miss what he used to have. So maybe this has made us reevaluate what we all really need as humans in this world.
Exactly.
Connie, not quite understanding your comment there. If you could just explain what the meaning is, that would be quite helpful.
Isn't it? I feel all the single people out there who can no longer go out and use that emoji well.
Yeah, Eric is putting Arthur in a triggering timeout. So shame on you, Arthur. Shame on you. Go and think about your actions.
I totally agree. That showy display thing just took me somewhere completely not good.
Joelle Brown wants Arthur to use behoove in a sentence.
What does behoove actually mean?
You don't know your Watchtower material as well as we thought you did. Arthur, it would behoove us to take note of the signs of the last days, my brother.
Thank you for saving the day, Sasha.
Sorry, I'm munching on ginger snaps. Susan Wheatley says, yes, thanks, Deanna, and good on you, Sasha, for giving her the shout out. Gabrielle saying, this is a great way to wake up. Thanks, guys. It's certainly going to be bracing, I would imagine, particularly if you woke up in the middle of Sing Along with Arthur. Win Zukon says, what are the chances that Auntie Bev would make an appearance on the lockdown live stream? Well, that's a question for Sasha and Sherry.
Oh, she's locked down herself. She lives about 2 hours south of us on
if we got her a link, would she come on?
New South Wales. We'd have to give her some talking through on how to do the link, but maybe she could. Maybe she could.
Would you need
She'd
coaching?
Be up for it if we asked
would
her.
you need coaching on?
Yeah.
On
yes.
Yeah, because she's very straight talking.
We'd need to do a straight test run first.
Okay.
But you know, it's beautiful that people have asked about her, and we've made the comment many times that Auntie Bev is the family that's supported us through all of this upheaval. You know, there's been family members that have left us. There's been family members that have come to the fore, and she's been one who's remained constant the whole way through. So, yeah, full credit to her.
Pat Henson says, I love hearing from the wives about their experiences. As a wife of a once ministerial servant, sometimes I feel like I don't meet enough women I can talk to about going through leaving the organization with their husbands. It's rare. Couples who live together stick together. Yeah. It's an odd one, isn't it? Because just because one partner wakes up doesn't mean the other will, of course. And even though it's happened in the case of me and Deanna and in the case of Sasha and Sherry, it must be said it doesn't always happen, you know? So there's some interesting dynamics that go on, I think, that probably need to be explored more.
Yeah, and you know, on that note, Pat, thanks for that message. I received a beautiful little message from somebody who is going through that exact scenario. She's woken up, her husband has just doubled down, they've got little children. She's reaching out saying that she wants to still love her husband, but she finds it so hard because he is just completely at odds with her ability to think for herself, and the misogyny and all of that controlling aspect is coming out. And you know, I never once take for granted what those of us who have been able to get out of the cult together with our spouses, you know, the privileged situation we're in, because we hear that there are so many battling, and our hearts definitely go out to you all. The one thing we just want to stress, though, is that you're not alone. And I know it must feel like you're alone when you're in these situations and you have the person you should be closest to with that distance between you, but please reach out. There are plenty of people that would love to just be there to support you. And think of the good qualities of your spouse that still exists, even though they're doubling down in their adherence to the cult. There's still some good in them somewhere, and we've got you to help you through that.
I think as well, I mean, we've been fortunate in our respective relationships, but I think also stressing that sometimes the relationship does need to end, you know, and there's no, when that inevitability makes itself obvious, you shouldn't feel like you're in a no-win situation. You shouldn't feel desperate. You shouldn't feel like there's no way forward. Sometimes in order to find happiness and satisfaction and contentment, your life needs drastic recalibration, and already leaving a cult is a massive recalibration in and of itself, but sometimes that also does need to extend into relationships. Again, I've been fortunate in not needing to go down that route. But there's no shame if you reach that point where it's like, this just isn't going to work. We gave it our very best shot, but despite our very, very best efforts, things need to change. And it's a very, very difficult realization to reach. But there's certainly no shame if that's the only way forward, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very good point, because it comes down to personal self-worth and personal dignity. So, yeah.
Speaking of personal dignity, Tamar James says, I think Chloe needs to do an exploding poo emoji workshop in the next live stream. Sarah thinks I'm fixated on deceased pets. Deanna, hide your dog.
Oh my God.
Bessie.
Bessie is safe for now, I think. Bessie is safe for now. In fact, one of these days I'm going to bring her in because she's probably only a few meters away outside the bunker door as we speak. And yeah, I think she needs more airtime.
We would love to see her on the stream. Yeah.
Eyes on the prize, referring to what we were saying earlier about materialism. It's true. This has been a chance to simplify, even go through stuff at home and purge. I haven't taken that opportunity yet. I'm sure that there's all sorts of bank statements from 2005 or whatever that I need to shred or burn or destroy. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, speaking of
simplification, toilet paper.
Yep.
Everyone knows.
Speaking of simplifications, why have a compound of 7, 8, 10-story buildings in the big city when you can move upstate at a lake and build your own 2-story building where you can have everything functional and cheaper to run?
Arthur makes a great point. Sherry.
Yes. What?
Observations.
Oh, that's throwing me.
I'm sorry. I just like to put people on the spot sometimes. It's my sadistic sense of humor.
Yes, but I don't have an intro, so there was nothing to. Anyway, never mind.
Are you requesting an intro? Are you putting in a formal request?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Tamar says Chloe could have a regular slot on what can be done with exploding poo. Now, I think paint along with Chloe is the winning ticket, and we'll see what we can do there. And if she wants to do an exploding poo emoji, I'm not going to stop her, but I'm thinking we should just throw it open to the live chat and see which suggestion we go along with.
I think a quiz would be fun.
A quiz, yes.
The Kiwi quiz.
There's our segment for Sherry.
Yeah.
Sherry's quiz.
No.
If you want to arrange it, I'll do you the segment intro.
Do you know what we do at work every single day at 9 a.m., even though we're all used to being in the office, we all come online onto Zoom and we do the Kiwi quiz every morning at 9 a.m. to like make everyone still feel like we're having a community. And at the end of the week, we can drink on Zoom if we get
brilliant.
Well, Sasha and Sherry are always drinking on Zoom, so but it's the appropriate time of the day where they are.
It is. It is.
Rianne saying that would be awesome. Auntie Bev, lots of love for Auntie Bev in the live chat.
I will tell her she'll be thrilled.
She only made a brief appearance in Fade Interrupted 6, and she's etched herself onto people's hearts, it must be said, in that brief time, those few seconds.
She does that effortlessly.
She does.
Yeah, title for Sherry's quiz show. Who wants to jeopardize a smarter cult survivor?
Ooh. Who wants to jeopardize paradise?
Jose Raiden or Josie Raiden says, wow, Sasha, very well put. I needed to hear that. Although it's my wife that's not seeing the truth about the truth. It's not easy. Thank you. These situations just are, it must be said, a nightmare. But the honest truth is that one way or the other, you will get through it. It's painful as hell when you're going through this tension, but there is light at the end of the tunnel, even though it doesn't seem like that at the moment. So just stay in there and stick it out, and you will find your way through.
Yes, well said.
Jane Adams says it would be lovely to do a video of what to say and what not to say to members who want out from a non-JW perspective, and who they can turn to. Yeah, that's a tricky one. I actually think that there's something to be said for being very surgical with what you would say to someone who's in a cult, and just remembering that, you know, their minds are not their own. There's plenty of good things that you can say, but there are also plenty of bad things that you can say. And as a go-to, I try and recommend street epistemology. Oh, we have Deanna.
Hi,
we
guys.
have Deanna.
Hi.
And Julia. Hi, girls.
Julia.
So, just to say hi to everybody, and that I love seeing you, but I'm not trying to be hard to get or anything like that. It's literally crazy. I've just had Jessica's meltdown because the dress wasn't the right shade of pink. Jules getting cranky because she needs to go for sleep. It took our mess under the table that they've created. So it's not a glamorous picture. I'm still in my gym jams. Unlike
But doesn't she look glamorous in her gym jams?
She does.
Bridget Bardot
Absolutely.
gym jams there.
Unlike all of you that have more time to make your house clean and do everything, I'm just like surviving.
Well, thanks for jumping
And
on.
you're doing it beautifully.
Yeah.
Lovely to see you all, but especially big hugs to Sherry and Chloe. Love you, girls.
Hi. Lots of kisses to the girls.
Will do.
Yes, absolutely.
Jessica just went downstairs for a minute to get her right dress. And Jules is here. Say hi, Jules.
Hi.
Hey, Gigi.
Hi.
Jules. Happy
Nesbo
birthday.
9 saying,
Late,
gorgeous baby girl. I assume we're talking about
Isn't
Julia
she?
there. So, yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to leave you now.
Good to see you.
But lovely to see you all, and keep up the good work. Goodbye.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Deanna.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.
Well, that was nice. Again, I'd love it if Deanna could host a show, and the roles could be reversed so that I can juggle babies and she can host. But at the moment, I'm struggling to talk her into it. But hopefully, you never know.
Chloe,
Crazier
we've
things
got
have
to team
happened.
up. Let's work on it.
Positive
can
peer
do it.
pressure is needed
We
there, I
can
think.
do it. Yeah.
Jane Addams says too much cuteness. Cuteness overload, it must be said.
Lloyd, I suppose you can do on April 1st reversed lockdown live stream with Deanna hosting.
Listen, I'm
Then
all
you
down
imply-
for it. I'm all down for it. If she wants to host one of these things, then she is more than welcome.
Not on
Definitely.
April 1st, though, because then you're implying it's a practical joke.
Exactly.
Exactly. It should be.
Exactly.
It's certainly not a joke by any means. Eyes on the prize. Deanna, you are too cute. Don't apologise for being a mum. And Amy Leonard saying, yay, hi Deanna, beautiful girl, and totally understand lockdown with kids is rough. Lots of people relating there to the challenge of children during lockdown. It robs you of the ability to just shake things up a bit and say, right, we're going to go to the shopping mall, or we're going to go to the park, or we're going to do. It's the same day, the same routine. It can get very, very draining. So, just trying to find a few final comments before we conclude. What would be nice, actually, is if we could just go around the panel as we do on Watch Time Focus and share some concluding thoughts for the viewers. And maybe we can start with this man.
Arthur?
Yeah. and Arthur, try not
Yes.
to be too triggering, please.
Lloyd, thank you for this amazing occasion for gathering together for this another live stream episode.
You sound like you're doing a prayer.
It was very encouraging for all of us and our 100+ viewers to stay through these 90 minutes of levity and entertainment and fun during our lockdown. And hope to see you all tomorrow.
Okay, that's me up.
Yeah.
So I, being the kind of therapist person, I encourage everybody to do a Google search on self-compassion, because throughout all of this time, you need to be kind to yourself. Not do the get behind me Satan, I just triggered myself. But to understand that we're all going to have different reactions to this whole situation, and that is okay. So you need to just have a bit of self-compassion. So Google Dr. Kristen Neff, that's Neff. She did a few TED Talks, and it's a really healthy rabbit hole to go down. That's my piece of advice for everybody tonight.
And I guess I'd just say the same. As much as we can all have a laugh, and that is so important, process whatever it is you need to go through with this whole situation. The one positive I take out of this is there has never been a time where the world has been more united. We are all literally going through the same thing at the same time. And that has made humanity recognize what's really important. And, whatever you need to do to process this situation, the one thing we have, as Chloe pointed out, we are not socially isolated. We have the ability to reach out. So a lot of people have suggested that just think of one or two people in your life that maybe you haven't spent as much time with recently, and drop them a text message, drop them a Facebook message, whatever it is, and just say, hey, thinking of you, hope you're doing okay. It's so important to do that. And if every single person around the world takes a few moments out of every day just to reach out to 2 or 3 different people, that's going to have a massive flow-on effect. So, let's hang in there, have fun every day, find the 1 or 2 things that you can really enjoy every single day, And rather than focusing on the things we can't control, let's focus on the things we can control. And that's our personal reaction and our personal frame of mind.
I was gonna say something a little bit similar about the physical distancing, not the social distancing. So remember that this is physical distancing, not social distancing. And all my friends who are on the line, call me, preferably video call, so that I have to get dressed. Is a good motivator. And also, I have been trying to myself. I'm not really posting on social media that much because I've just been so busy and not really thought about it, but I've started a highlight story on Instagram for lockdown to try and help me make sure I do one useful or interesting thing every day and post every day to show like kind of the progression, so I can look back and know that I still accomplished something over a month of just being at home. So maybe that will help in the future too. Yeah.
Lovely words there, Chloe, and I can only echo what's been said by the rest of the panel. Just because it is social, just because we're distancing doesn't mean it has to be social distancing. We're just literally keeping out of each other's way physically. Let's use this opportunity to strengthen ties as much as possible using the technology at our disposal. And that's kind of what we're trying to do on the lockdown live stream. Just use this technology to bridge a few divides and bring people together and add some levity. And hopefully we've managed to do that over the course of the 90 minutes of today's show. But thank you so much to my amazing panel. I hope we'll be seeing all of you again in future lockdown live streams as your schedule permits. But it's been a fantastic show, and thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, everyone. Look after yourselves.
Viewers, don't
Stay
forget,
safe.
don't forget to subscribe to the John Cedars channel for more of these uploads. Obviously, we are streaming on Facebook and Twitch on the addresses below. So those are the addresses to use if you want to participate, if you're able to be vertical at the appropriate time of the day to join in on one of these live streams. But if not, you can watch obviously on YouTube after the fact. I hope you're enjoying the show if that is the case. But nevertheless, don't forget to subscribe to the John Cedars channel for all sorts of awesome content. And whatever you're doing, stay safe, stay positive, and we'll see you in the next show. Take care.